Well, good afternoon or morning or whatever time it is that you're watching this. We're gonna do a little bit of some talking about the truck. I've spoke about it in the videos, haven't really shown it in the videos yet, so we're gonna kind of go over some stuff today on the truck, some of the build, some of the stuff that we've done to it, and what I've had problem wise, good, bad, ugly, all that stuff, for the ownership of it, talk about the tune I'm running and all that stuff. So today I'm actually running a GearHead Tune. It's their auto octane tune. I bounce kind of in between them and my 5-star tunes. Both are very great tunes. Just kind of depends on what I'm doing and if somebody else is going to be driving my truck or not on which tunes I run. The truck did just come back out of the body shop. I think I mentioned that before, and that was the Titan. I was doing it in the Titan video. I was talking about the truck having some major repairs done. So we'll kind of go over those. But while it was there, I had it. It was what I call kind of tuned down a little bit. But the GearHead Tune is more of what I call like a daily. It's not as aggressive. You know, and I wouldn't say the mileage is quite as good as my 5-star tunes, but it's pretty good. But the nice point is that it adjusts super fast to changing fuel, and it shifts amazing. Right now, summertime, I usually don't run that tune. I just haven't flipped it back yet to my 5-star tune. I'm actually waiting for a revision back from them. A few things I want to adjust on that tune. We've kind of played with stuff in the past a little bit, and I kind of want to go back to where we were a little bit, but not quite the same. So they've been excellent to work with. They kind of make changes and adjustments as I kind of grow with the truck. Where I will say that the GearHead is a great, you buy it, load it, forget it tune. You don't do much to it. You don't need to data log it much because the auto octane tune is kind of what it's going to be. If there's small things that come up, different things that you have issues with, those guys over there are great at fixing them, and they're really fast. But as far as trying to break more power out of it, that's what you get on that one is pretty much what I'm told is what you're going to get. I've tried to have it tuned up a little bit more. I've got probably a little bit better, but it's just kind of, he says that's just kind of what it is. Unless I do like a 95 octane tune, then it can do a solely dedicated tune for just that octane. I asked him if he would do a 92 octane tune because that's what I had for fuel, and he says there's no need to because the auto is the same thing. It just can fluctuate from 85 octane all the way up to 94 octane or something like that. So I haven't bothered. Like I said, it's just a great tune to just throw in, and it's just a load and forget tune. You don't need to really do anything with it. It's like I would call an optimized stock tune. So if you were to buy something from maybe Ford that was a performance style tune, I think this is what that would be. So with that being said, it's not slow at all. Depending on weather and things like that, it'll carry 16 to 17 pounds of boost all the way on the top, where factory is about 12 and a half to 13. So it's got some boost, it's ramped up, timing chain, shift points, everything's just optimized. It's just better. Nothing's aggressive, it's just better. It will bark second gear if you get your foot buried in it and the traction control off. So when it hits second gear, it will bark the tires, even with the 33s on it. So that's pretty impressive. Is it necessary? Yeah, probably not. But it's, you know, it's kind of fun. But yeah, I'll throw up. I got some acceleration, and I think I got some draggy runs, some sheets off of that, so I can kind of show that. I also have a dyno sheet that I've had this tune on the dyno, and I can compare that to a stock run. So it is a 2015, and I did buy it new. So I've had it the whole time. I actually ordered it, had it built the way that I wanted, which was kind of cool. If you ever have the opportunity to order something and have it special, it is, I think, in my opinion, well worth it to have something like that done. Just kind of gives you a little bit more sense of, hey, you know, I'm not just buying something off a lot. I actually had a say in what was done to it. So that's kind of cool. 87,600 miles on it. Pretty much been problem free. It's been in for some just recall stuff. Nothing crazy. You know, the door latch thing that everybody's heard of, where they don't work very good in the wintertime. Even though it went in for the recall, really didn't fix it much. I still had it happen a couple times. So I just don't park it outside anymore when it's cold. The other thing is, with remote start, you can fire it up, let it warm up a little bit. Sometimes that helps, and then you don't have the problem. So I just kind of worked around it a little bit. Seemed to work. I didn't have any more issues with it like that. And then last year, I believe it was, right before my extended warranty ran out, I actually had to have it in to Ford. It had a broken exhaust manifold stud and had that replaced. So they did a manifold stud, hoses on the turbo, all that stuff. And I also had them fix the little bit of oil leak that it had on the front timing cover. So we got those. Actually, I got some pictures of it. It was just shy of, I think it had about 10,000 miles less than it does now. It was in the 70s. I don't remember where it was. But I'll put those pictures up there. I actually had some pictures of it with the timing cover open, and thing, like I said, it's in the 70,000 somewhere, and super impressed with how clean that engine is with that many miles. And I'm doing like 7,500 mile oil changes, but I'm running AMSOIL Signature Series regular 5W30. I'm not changing the weight, but I am running the Signature Series and only changing it at 7,500 miles. The tech there did manage to say that he has never seen an engine with that many miles on it. I don't call that a lot of miles, but he did. That looked that clean, and no stains, no nothing. The front of the timing cover, when you opened it up and looked at it, it was still just clean. But you can see like bare aluminum. The only dirty spots where there was a little bit of oil pooled in some spots, you could see, you know, the oil. But other than that, it was really clean. So that's about all I've had done to it. You know, like work-wise, major work-wise. I've had some body work done and stuff, but that was no fault of Ford. That was an incident that happened in a parking lot, and then it got broke into while it was sitting last year to get worked on. So that was fun. I had to have a bunch of stuff replaced. The other thing recently that just happened, which I guess is a really rare thing to happen, but I had a body seam that was leaking behind the dash in where the firewall and the cab come together, right there behind the dash. There's a body seam and a lip where it curls over, and it's supposed to be seam sealed. And it was starting to leak there, so under the wiper arm area, when it rained really hard, it would fill that area up with water, obviously, a little bit, and it would start running in, running down my feet. I guess it's not a very common problem, but what do you know? I had it. They're actually blaming it on, I don't know if they're joking with me, but they're blaming it on the horsepower, the torque, twisting the body a little bit, and I kind of laughed at them, but I think it was they were joking with me, but it sounds good to tell somebody. But other than that, I mean, really no major issues. Like I said, I've got 87,000 on it, but I've actually never done brakes on it yet. But most of the miles are on the road or the highway, not much stop and go city traffic, so I figure I probably won't do brakes. I would imagine probably till 100,000, which then I'll do rotors and, you know, all that stuff. The front rotors are warped a little bit more than I would expect them to be. I haven't towed very many things very heavy very often where I was on the brakes a lot to slow them down. But the researching and stuff that I've done, I guess the factory rotors in these are just kind of garbage. Kind of like the old Dodge 3/4 tons and stuff. They used to warp rotors, I guess, really bad if you use factory stuff. So I'm not going to put that back on. I'll probably put power stops or something on it. But yeah, other than that, it's been super reliable. I wouldn't call those anything major, no major problems, nothing really crazy. The seam was a little bit strange. That one I was a little set back by. Did cost me a bit of money to have that one fixed. I think out the door, having the dash out and the seam split, reopened, sealed, touched back up and everything. I want to say that ran me like $1,200, $1,300 or something. I got a really good body shop that I work with, so they were able to hook me up and give me what I think is a pretty good deal to have all that pulled out and fixed. So that one hurt a little bit, but yeah, other than that, nothing major. I just keep running and keep driving it. I believe that these engines, in my opinion, are basically a race engine. Anything turbocharged with the compression that they make and things like that need good maintenance, and you need to be on top of it. I'm a firm believer in really good oil, whether you want to do whatever it is. Anything that's like this, blends are garbage in my opinion. You know, people can say what they want about them, but any tier 4 full synthetic that's not a cracked synthetic is what you need to be running, or what you should be running in anything that's pushing this kind of power. If it's a tier 3 that's a cracked synthetic, you're still gonna get it. It's still gonna break down eventually like a conventional is. Even though they call it a synthetic, it's not a 100% tier 4 synthetic. So keep that in mind. Like I said, there's other companies out there than what I'm using that are a tier 4. But good oil is a must, along with, if you're running boost and you're pushing it and you've got timing up, basically if it's tuned and you're beyond factory, you need to be changing spark plugs. You need to be making sure your air, your map sensor, intake air temperature sensors, all those stay clean. And I'm also a firm believer in running a catch can in anything that is a boosted application or anything that is direct injected, i.e. DI. That helps keep the upper side of the valves clean because there's no fuel to wash the top of the valves down. So as much of that as you can catch in a catch can is better for the engine, less chances that you're going to have the intake off or go through any of that stuff and have the intake valves cleaned from buildup on the valves. And again, that is why you want to run a tier 4 oil, because it doesn't break down like a cracked or conventional or a semi-synthetic does. So you're going to get less buildup on the valves because it's not going to burn off at the higher heats that these engines run. So those are the things to kind of look out for. So let's kind of go over the build a little bit on it. It's been tuned since about 5,000 miles. Like I mentioned, I have an SCT X4. I run 2 different companies. I run GearHead Tuning, and I also run 5-star tuning. Both good. Both have their strong points. Like I mentioned, the GearHead is more, I would say, an optimized stock. Again, I will show a dyno graph of this truck stock. These are same day, just reflash, stock, GearHead, and then my 5-star tune. Same day, same fuel, probably just hours apart on the dyno, enough to let them cool down a little bit, cool the intercooler a little bit if I, like I was trying, and then just turn around and run them. So they were all fresh flashes. None of them had any drive time on them, so they were flash and go. Let it learn a little bit on the dyno, make 3 hits, let it cool, reflash it to the next, so on and so on. So none of them had any advantage over the other. They were all reflash or fresh flash on the dyno, so they had no street time to adjust and fine tune things, as people say, because I do know after you drive them for a while, they kind of learn different things, and they will make more power after you drive them for a while. So I didn't want that. I didn't want one to have an advantage over the other ones, so I drove it in on a different tune that I wasn't running on the dyno, so I could run all these other ones, so nothing had any time on the street. So I tried to make it as fair as I could, but so it's been tuned to 5,000. It's got a S&B cold air on it. It has SPD turbo adapters. It still has the stock Y pipe and cats, stock turbo or turbos. It has a 170 thermostat in it. It has 1-step colder spark plugs in it, and the exhaust work basically is from the Y pipe, or the collector at the Y pipe back is all 3-inch, so no resonator. The mid pipe is 3-inch, and it's got a 6x8 by 14 body MagnaFlow on it, straight through. all that's done to it. So not a ton of stuff, nothing crazy, no big hard parts or anything like that. Still running the stock intercooler. I believe that's going to be one of the next mods, is to get that intercooler in. I got to get the intake temps to stay down, because by the middle of a third gear pull, if it's say 70 or 80 degrees outside, you can't make a full quarter mile without the intake temps climbing up to over 105 degrees, 110 degrees, where it starts pulling timing out of it, which is good. That's the safety of the way that these two companies tune. They both leave the same parameters as Ford in, so nothing is, they're not pushing anything farther than where it should be as far as your safeties go. So I just need to get an intercooler in it to keep the temps down, because if you get a good intercooler in it, you should be able to run 10 degrees over ambient on a pull. If it's a good intercooler, maybe 15 degrees over ambient. And if I could do that, then I would be able to hold power longer, better, and it would make my quarter miles faster, because it won't be pulling timing on the top of the quarter mile. I think that's why my 0 to 60s are as good as they are, is the temps are still down. By the time I get to about the 8th mile, it's already starting to pull power. So my trap speeds slow down, and then my quarter mile speed is, or my quarter mile times are down, because it's not pulling all the way through as hard as it should. Oh, that's kind of what's going on with that. But yeah, so the exhaust, it's kind of my own kind of creation. I started off with just doing the mid-pipe delete and bringing that up to a 3-inch, and then kind of as I was going along the build, I did the muffler and, you know, opened it up, and it seems to work pretty good. I mean, it's definitely a 6-cylinder, but with this certain setup, it doesn't have a weird ratty sound, so I like it. So it's not too bad for me. It's aggressive enough, but it's not obnoxious, at least in the cab it isn't. I don't know how well it picks up on the camera. I like it because I can hear it, but I can still talk over it. It's not drony or anything like that. Even when I'm pulling, I can hear it. It's loud, but it's loud out the back, not in the cab. So to me, that I like that a lot. I am not a fan of the ones that are loud inside and they sound like they're just horrible. So I like the noise to come out the tailpipe where it should. That's where it needs to be. So I don't mind hearing the exhaust as long as I know that it's coming out there and not in here, just like on your head. I've had a couple of vehicles that were that way, and it's just horrible. Kind of one of the reasons why I stick with MagnaFlow. They don't seem to have a lot of resonation. They do kind of block some of the turbo whistle a little bit because of the way that they're packed, which that kind of sucks a little bit, but I'm okay with that. Maybe someday when I do downpipes on it, it'll get some of that whistle back. I'll get some outside clips of the exhaust. But here's a little outside shot of it. Look how well that thing tucks those tires up. not bad for stock suspension.